Now, if you regularly watch my channel, you'll know I'm often telling you about some fantastic extra credit cards you can get that offer cash back, or some current accounts with debit cards that will give you monthly rewards or bank switching deals or interest on savings. And they're all great and they're great additions to your wallet. But there's one big flaw with some of these big names like American Express or Halifax or Lloyds or First Direct, is that when you are abroad, when you're on holiday, if you use these cards for your spending, whether that's in a restaurant, in a shop, or getting money out of an ATM, you're going to get charged a fee. And there might be more than one charge, depending on which bank it is you're using, which card you're using. And they can add up, 1%, 2%, 3%. Go away for one city break over a year, okay, maybe it's not going to be too much of an issue. But if you're going away, a big family of you, you're going away for a fortnight, you're going away for longer, you're going away for multiple trips, you're going somewhere very expensive, or maybe you're paying for those really, really pricey bits of a holiday, like the accommodation, the car hire, when you're there in the local currency, that really, really can add up. The good news is you don't have to pay any of those fees, because it's very, very easy to get another card, and I'm going to take you through my top picks right now, but another card that is completely fee-free. You will be getting, in most cases, the MasterCard or Visa rate, which is very, 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 very close to the true interchange, which is called the interbank rate. Sometimes you'll even get the interbank rate. So you're getting the proper exchange rate with nothing added on top. You'll also, with most of them, be able to get money out of an ATM with no charge. Some of them might have a little bit of a cap on how much you can take out in a month, but that might not be a problem. And I'll take you through my top picks, as I say, right now. So we're going to be looking at credit cards, debit cards, special smart cards, and also a couple of prepaid cards as well for you. Before we do that though, I want to give you a kind of a heads up, because there are a couple of really, really important rules that you have to follow, or things you need to know about, top tips when you are using one of these specialist cards we'll get into. First of all, is that when you are paying, you pay in the local currency. So whether that is dollars or euros or yen, whatever it might be, pay in that currency. Sometimes, I'm sure you've all experienced it, they'll say, do you want me to convert it? Do you want to pay in pounds? And it might sound easy. You see the actual price there right now. You know exactly how much you're spending without having to convert it in your head. But if you do that, that conversion happens at the merchant, sort of whoever that provides the kind of the card machine, or that bank in that country, what rate they want to charge. And that will not be in your favor. So choose the local currency and you will take advantage of that fee-free spending. The next thing is, when I talk about ATMs being fee-free, that is the actual charges by the banks with these cards. They will not charge you themselves to take money out. You might find that the actual local bank, the actual ATM itself, has a charge, a couple of euros, maybe, whatever it might be. That is completely separate. So you have to prepare for the fact there may well still be some local charges for taking out cash. Now, I've done this in the past where I've done a bit of a research and I've looked at which ones don't. And you might be able to find in a certain city that this particular branch of banks, they don't charge you for cash withdrawals. Great. If not, factor this in, and you're going to need to maybe plan to take out larger amounts, but not too much money. You don't want to have carrying around too much cash on you in case you lose it. But take out larger amounts of cash fewer times, rather than lots of small, taking out $20 every time, whatever, because you're going to get hit by decent charges every time you do that, even if they're fee-free cards. Okay, got it? Right, let's do credit cards first of all, because I think it's really, really important. As long as you can get one of these, remember, any credit card you're going to apply for, do an eligibility search first of all to find out what your chances are of acceptance before a hard check is performed. Really, really good to have a credit card, because there will be times when, particularly here, it's car hire or it's hotel incidentals, where the company will put a freeze on a certain amount of card. They'll lock a certain amount of money so you can't use it. Now, if you do that on your debit card, let's say there's a £500 is frozen on your card. Well, that could be your kind of spending money that is locked away. You can't get hold of it. So you want to avoid those kind of things with a debit card. Instead, have a credit card. There's also the added protection of Section 75, which means if you buy something that costs more than £100, if something goes wrong with it, the credit card company is equally liable, as well as whoever the retailer was. Okay, so it's important to have that if you're going to buy something that's quite expensive, whether it's something in a shop or whether it may be even a hotel or a flights or whatever, if you're buying them in over £100 in a different currency. credit card would be really useful. Now, the top pick here, my top fee-free credit card is this one. It's one that I use. It's a Barclaycard Rewards credit card. Fee-free on cash withdrawals, fee-free on spending. Fantastic on that. Not going to charge you anything at all for using it. Where it has the edge over any other debit credit card is it also earns you a little bit of cash back. Not much compared to the best cashback credit cards, just 0.25%, but that's better than nothing, right? And particularly if you're going big spending, that will be coming back into your account. So it's well worth, I think, if you can, getting this one. Now, the only problem you might find, or one of the problems you might find, is if you already have a Barclaycard or you want to get a different Barclaycard, you won't be able to get this as well. You only allow one type of Barclaycard, and you may already want the Avios Plus, for example, for earning points there, or you might have a different one elsewhere. Have a look. If you do want this and you've already got a Barclaycard, there might be an offer for you to swap the card within the app. So that's what I did. I had a different card for years, but I was able to swap it over to this one with no hard credit check. They just reissued it with this card. So this is my top one credit card for spending overseas. After this, I would look at the Halifax Clarity credit card. You don't get the cash back, but it's been going for a long time fee-free. It does charge you interest on cash withdrawals. So that's something to bear in mind, that if you are going to take money out with that card, try and pay it off as soon as you can. And not talking about waiting for the statement to come through. Obviously, with any credit card, you want to pay it off completely before interest is charged. But you want to maybe, even on the day or the day after, transfer money from your current account, use your banking app to pay off the credit card as you go along, to avoid any cash withdrawal interest being added on top. But that is a decent one. If you can't get the Barclaycard for whatever reason, look at the Halifax Clarity card. So that's credit cards. Again, useful to have them, but they are not the best way to spend overseas. That is now a debit card. And for the last few years, there have been a number, mainly these sort of digital banks, the newer banks. You'll know about them because I've spoken about them so much already. These have a selling feature of being fee-free. So they're not the high street banks. On the whole, they are the digital banks. I'll give you, before I get to my top ones, a quick sort of, here are some of them you might already know about. Virgin Money, that is fee-free to use if you've already got one of these cards, and I'm sure a lot of you have, because for a while it was one of the top ones for earning interest on savings. If you've got that, no charges at all on spending or on cash withdrawals. Plus, although you do need the app to manage it, there are high street banks around if you do want to access it. So that's not a bad one to have if you already got it. One of the newer ones is Crew. You might again have looked at that because it was offering a decent rate on savings. That one is fee-free for spending. It does have a cap on cash withdrawals. It's been lifted for the summer of 2023. But beyond that card, I think it's £200 every single month cash withdrawal limit. Might not be a problem, but it's worth knowing. Above that, you will get hit with a charge. One that you've probably, most of you, I would imagine, have got or come across at least, is Monzo. Again, not one of my top picks for spending overseas. It used to be the best one, but others have come along that are much better. And it also, over the last few years, it's added a few different limits on cash withdrawal. So spending, you're absolutely fine if you got it, no problem. But you will get charged, and it does depend how you use your Monzo account. Are you someone who uses it on an everyday basis? Your salary comes in, you've got direct debits, in which case you're going to have a larger cash withdrawal allowance. If you're someone who has it like me, just sitting around for occasional use, then you aren't going to be able to get as much money out of a cash machine, and it varies from Europe and worldwide as well. So again, have a look. If you've got this already and you think you might be fine for using it overseas, just make sure you're familiar with what the fees are. The only reason I would say you might want to get one of these is there's often a refer a friend offer for £5, which is a nice little extra, but it's nothing particularly to shout about. And there's a few others out there. Cumberland Building Society, that one, if you've got their current account, again, that's fee-free to use. Does require £750 to be paid into the account every single month. But again, not a bad option. Something like Money's as well. Again, I really wouldn't bother with that one unless you've already got it, but that has some fee-free spending, but again, some limits on cash withdrawals. So if you've got those, potentially you're going to be fine. If you haven't, or you want a better card, there are two that I would actually go for. And you won't be surprised probably because I've spoken about them quite a lot on the channel. There's Starling Bank and there's Chase. These are the top two cards for fee-free spending overseas. They're also pretty good just generally, which is why not only are they good for this, they might be good accounts to have. The reason that Chase is better than Starling is because you can get 1% cash back on your spending. So if you're choosing between the two, I would go with Chase because fee-free for spending, fee-free for withdrawals, but you also get 1% back when you spend. Obviously, the rules have changed very recently with Chase, and that cash back has been capped after the first year at £15 a month. So it might be you don't get, if you're spending a lot, you're going to get a big expensive holiday, Maybe you won't get cash back on everything, but again, that is a top pick there. But again, if you've got a Starling account, you're not bothered about Chase and the cash back, then that one is a great one for spending because fee-free overseas and fee-free for cash withdrawals. And what's really important about both of these and some of the other ones I mentioned just before is that there is a soft credit check. So there is no harm you applying for one of these cards as an extra account. Even if you want to stick with, I don't know, Halifax is your main account or Barclays or whoever it might be, no harm just getting one of these accounts just for spending on your holiday. Transfer your money across by your app, whatever it might be, move it over as you need it and spend just on the holiday. And then when you come back, you put it in the travel wallet until you go away again. So hopefully they're the top picks. Barclaycard Rewards or Halifax Clarity as your credit card, Starling Bank or Chase as your debit card. There are a couple of others I want to quickly touch on here though, which are nice to haves, but I wouldn't pick them over these options right now. One is a smart card. There's a couple of them. There's one called Curve and one called Currency. They work in slightly different ways. With Curve, you can add any Visa or MasterCard, debit or credit card to the app, up for the free account up to 2 different cards, and you can spend with their debit card and it links underneath to whichever card you have. So let's say it is your NatWest or your Halifax account. You won't get charged the fees which those banks would. You only get charged the fees that Curve charge. And these are not too bad. It does depend. There are some limits. They're not as good as it used to be. Fundamentally, there are no charges on weekdays and you get up to £1,000 to spend on a rolling 30-day period. So if you weigh money to Friday, spending less than £1,000, that's going to be fee-free, even which you're using a bank below it connected to it, which is quite expensive. So that's a winner in lots of ways. The problem comes at the weekend when if you're paying in US dollars or euros, there's 0.5% added to whatever the exchange rate is, an extra 1.5% for other currencies. And then if you spend over £1,000, there's a 2% charge added as well on top of that. So again, I think this used to be a good one for your primary spending. Now, I think it's a good backup. You do have to pay £5 to get the card sent to you. So have a look, see if cashback sites or refer a friend schemes might give you some money to rule that out. But you've got it in your wallet just in case you lose the card, your main debit or credit card, which is fee-free, and that one can still connect to another one. So it's good to have as a backup. You get £200 free cash withdrawals every 30 days. And then above that, there is a charge. The other one is called Currency. This one works slightly differently. You can only connect it to your bank account, so it won't work with credit cards. But in a similar way, it will take money from your underlying linked account. It's only with some of the big guys, but again, that's the purpose of getting it. So the likes of Barclays, Bank of Scotland, First Direct, Halifax, HSBC, Lloyds, Nationwide, NatWest, RBS, Santander, TSB, Ulster Bank, and Virgin Money. If you've got one of those, although the Virgin Money one is fee-free anyway, so you wouldn't reason why you'd want to swap it over. But that will again link to that account, and when you spend, you'll get a lower fee. It's not fee-free, it's a lower fee. And this one is a 0.5% added onto whatever the exchange rate is. So again, a lot cheaper than the big banks, not as good as the likes of Starling or Chase. And the last one I want to talk about here is prepaid cards. Again, I don't think most people are going to need to use these. You might remember back in the day, prepaid cards, you'd buy one of them and there was a charge for you to add money to them. And if you didn't use them, there was also a charge that would take money off the balance that was left every single month until that balance was gone. Generally not great ways to spend, particularly when you've got these other newer options. But they do have some benefits. And one of the benefits of a prepaid card is that you can lock in the exchange rate. You can add money to them on a certain day and you know that is what it would have cost you in pounds. If you're really, really budgeting, you know you can't afford for the currency to go up or to go down. I was in the States last year when the currency went like that and that cost us a lot of money. You can avoid that by locking in some money at a rate with a prepaid card. Obviously, conversely, if the rate goes the other way, you'd have missed out. But again, that's not the point. Now, I would avoid the traditional prepaid cards here. If you really, really, really want to do this, I would look at one of 2 options. There's Revolut and there's Wise. Revolut is probably the better option here, although I'm not a fan of it and the app, and I find it just too much going on. They're trying to do too much. If you do want to add currencies onto it, you can add £1,000 every single month. And if you do it between Monday and Friday, it's fee-free. So if you plan ahead for your trip, you put the money on there, it is locked in at that rate, as long as you're up to £1,000 and you do it in the week. At the weekend, there will be an extra charge. Above £1,000, there is an extra charge. but it might be a way to sort of balance things out. Maybe some money is on Revolut and this prepaid card, some money is using whatever the live exchange rate is with your Starling or Chase, whatever it might be like that. Spending is free. Obviously, you're already in the local currency. There is a £200 ATM limit every single month for taking cash out. And there is also a charge to get the actual debit card, although you can add it to your Apple Pay, Google Pay. There's a virtual card you can add if you want to avoid that. This is the free option I'm talking about here, by the way. There are other tiers with extra allowances, but I don't think they're worth paying for at all. The other one is Wise. Again, this one has a set fee that is added on. There are more currencies you can choose from, and the fee for it will vary depending on the currency, but you can add that and have that money locked into a larger number of currencies. Again, there are going to be some restrictions there on ATM withdrawals, but again, if you really want to lock in, have a look and Wise and Revolut, research them a little bit more. But I think most people, you're going to be absolutely fine with Starling, Chase, Barclaycard Rewards and Halifax Clarity, a mix of those, and a Curve as a backup, and you are well away. My name is Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching this video. Check out these videos here for more ways to make the most of your money.